Welcome, everyone, to Unboxing Growth. Thank you, Leadership Global and the C-Suite Network, for hosting us. Today's topic is Got Thought Leadership or a Book, Now What? So we're going to take you through a guided journey of thought leadership and how it is that you're getting it and yourselves out there in the world. And we're going to invite you to make this really participatory today. So if you'd like to put your name and your company name and how to stay in touch with you in the chat, we welcome you to do that. And then stay tuned because we're going to ask you to put some things in the chat along the way. And we're also going to leave ample time to discuss your thought leadership needs at the end of this session. So let's jump in, shall we?
Here we go.
So we always like to just give you a little context, a little bit about us. Janine and I have been business partners for over 20 years, and we have Outfront Solutions. And the Outfront Solutions offerings are in this Ikigai, and Ikigai is this construct, the concentric circles you see on the screen. And that tells you our story, what it is that we do, and how it is that we bring meaning to the world. And I just want to point out that at the center of everything that we do, there is purpose and results at the core. What we also focus on at Outfront Solutions is strategic consulting, so strategic marketing consulting, MarTech, so marketing technologies implementation. We act as an outsourced CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, and then we do a lot of work in reputation and public relations. So in the inner sphere there's PR and solutions and tech stack and go-to-market. So all of that relates to your thought leadership process. And we'll tell you stories of some incredible leaders we've had the good fortune to work with, including Steve Jobs and Carly Fiorina and Eric Schmidt, people we've written, Chris Foster of Omnicom, people we've written speeches for or helped to bring their books into light and really help them achieve some of the things that we say on this slide, which is to differentiate, to outperform, and to really bring meaningful customer relationships. That's what we all want to achieve. So we're going to invite you to put in the chat, what is a thought leader? What is your definition of a thought leader? Yeah, so let's see. What is your definition of a thought leader? Someone who writes a book. Yep. Clergy. Okay. Yeah, that too. Oh, yeah. TED Talks for sure. Someone who has innovative thoughts and solutions on a particular topic or industry. Someone who shares their insights that trigger others to think differently, to break their patterns. Oh, that's beautiful. I like how that's phrased. Someone providing original and unduplicated thinking, original ideas. Beautiful. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, you folks got it. That is all of those things are what thought leaders are and more. So we're going to kind of talk about additional ways too to think about thought leadership and develop it, because it doesn't have to just be one thing. It can be many things.
Yes, absolutely. All right.
Okay.
All right, thought leaders, let's dive in. So thought leadership, we wanted to put this out there. We always like to kind of sort of ground ourselves in this subject matter. And thought leadership isn't necessarily about telling people what to think. It's oftentimes about telling them what to think about, right? So we're presuming the intelligence of the reader, and we're helping to bring them along in terms of maybe some new ideas and a lot of that came up in the definitions is, maybe some innovations or expertise in helping them to think about and tell them about what to think about, right? So they can apply it to their own lives and whatnot. So this quote we thought was rather intriguing. The difference between academic research and thought leadership is that you're not just trying to further knowledge, you're trying to further a discussion that leads to action. And so that really sums up what we're going to talk about today is helping people drive to maybe new actions, to engage with you, to think about the world in a new and different way, to take their knowledge forward. And that's Joel Kurtzman who said that.
Who was the first one to call it thought leadership, which is really awesome.
Yeah, he coined the term thought leadership, which we thought was intriguing. And here's a thought from Larry Light, the former CMO of McDonald's. He says that we don't need one big execution of a big idea. We need one big idea that can be used in a multidimensional, multi-layered, and multifaceted way. So, yeah, we really love that because, again, it kind of shows our philosophy on how to approach thought leadership, that you can bring these innovations to light, and they often lead to, a compound effect across multi dimensions, and how you're changing how you lead your life. And also this applies to the thought leader, that we're encouraging all of you as thought leaders to bring your thought leadership out into the world in a multidimensional, multi-layered, and multifaceted way. And we will get into a lot more detail on that.
But I just also want to add to that the thought leadership itself that you create can be distributed and marketed in a multi-layered and multifaceted way. And that really leads into the marketing itself. It's how, if you even think about your website, for example, you probably have thought leadership on your website, and you can pull things off of it for social, for podcasts, for other things. So it's about using your thought leadership in many different ways to communicate, and as Nicole mentioned before, engage.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to include this slide because we want, what are all the things you can do with your thought leadership, right? You can use it to persuade people to come along on your journey. You can use it just as an informational thing. A lot of politicians, well, they're trying to influence as well, but they're also educating and informing. So engaging, you can use it specifically to engage, and to convert people to your community or to what it is that the actions you wish them to take. And then, as mentioned a minute ago, also it can be educational. So you want to think about, why am I doing this? What is my objective with my thought leadership? And if you know what your objective is, and you know what actions you want to stimulate, then both the writing of it and the marketing of it, and when I say writing, it can be created in other formats too, but typically we start with writing, and then it can be deployed in this multidimensional way to achieve those kinds of goals. So we encourage you to have goals for your thought leadership. Oops, hang on. I think this is the next slide. Looked a little weird. So, who's going to be your audiences? Well, we always, when we're doing our content work, we're always like thinking, okay, Google, because Google loves content, and Google loves authority content and educational content. And when I say loves it, what that means is it loves it in terms of search engine rankings, right? And if you wish to be discovered, and that's why you're putting something out, right? You're putting something out because you want to be known and you want to gather people to you. So SEO is super important. Good news is that thought leadership really feeds that. And if you cut up your thought leadership and use it in chunks and post it often, your search engine rankings will rise with Google. So who else? Who else do we target typically? We target business leaders, and we'll target them in an industry. We'll say, you know what, we want to reach CMOs and CEOs in technology companies, right? And then, so what is it that we have to offer from our marketing standpoint? What thought leadership can we offer from our knowledge base that's going to be really useful and valuable to them? Because obviously useful and valuable content, quality content counts. Even Google looks for quality content. So journalists totally use thought leadership content in a couple of different ways. You may be parsing out your thought leadership on Twitter, say, to get people. Let's say that you wrote an article, and it's like we wrote an article recently about topics and keywords and how to target purchase intent. We've got that on a blog on our website. Then we tweeted about it. We did a bunch of other things, which we're going to talk about. And it's been very successful. Tons of people have been coming, but we tweeted about it. Why tweet? Because that's where the journalists are. Like, journalists are really looking at Twitter to generate new ideas, find thought leaders and sources that they can interview, and they habitate on Twitter. So you definitely want to use that platform. Investors. Let's also say another thing, and investors is a good segue to that, which is that thought leadership really validates you. It shares who you are, what you think, your authority, your gravitas. And that's something that's really important to investors. It's also an opportunity to educate investors in a kind of sophisticated way. If you let's say that you are either purchasing a company, want to be purchased, or need to have investment, your thought leadership deepens their understanding of you and your importance and the importance of what you do. So it's a great investment strategy. Clients, that's just a great way to attract attention. Valuable content. The internet was not created to find people. The internet was created to serve up content. So if you want to find clients, there's nothing better than content marketing to do that, right? Especially in a content-heavy area like B2B marketing, right? Where typically it's not just buy my pair of socks, but even if you were Bombas socks, which I have a bunch of, you have to inform people about why Bombas are better than what I could get at Costco. And to do that, you're going to need content. You're going to be talking about other kinds of socks. You're going to be talking about where yours are made. You're going to be talking about the fact that you give a pair of socks for every pair of socks that was purchased. So that's another important thing. And then here's another one, which we often overlook because we're part of that group. The most susceptible people to marketing is marketers. So if you wish to attract marketers or collaborate with marketers, talking about marketing in a thought leadership sense is a really great way to go. And obviously consumers too, because consumers need to be educated. Think about the wellness category, right? Very complicated category. You could talk about anything from brain health to skincare when you're talking about a wellness product. So all of these things are content heavy, and that's a place where you can be thinking about thought leadership on a kind of a targeted marketing kind of way. So another thing that's really great about thought leadership is that it creates relationships. And actually, we really feel like we are now in the era of relationships. This is a time when trust is low. It's a time when you don't know what to believe. And so a trusted relationship, that's why influencers are so powerful right now. It's critical to your long-term success. And so, why does thought leadership help create relationships? It's because it lets people get to know you, what your values are, what your beliefs are, and they can come to like and trust you. And that's the underpinning of a good relationship. Another part is consistent communication. So we're going to talk about that as well. So thought leadership, it establishes your credibility, it validates who you are and what you're doing. It shows, it creates a connection with your audience. And if you are trying to not tell people what to think, but what to think about, you invite their engagement on your thought leadership. That's a fantastic way for you to learn and grow, for you to learn and develop more thought leadership, and to really engage your audiences. And then finally, it gives more reasons. It tells people how to engage with you. I want to ask you all something, because you've signed up for this particular webinar, and I've got the feeling you must have some thought leadership in mind for yourself. You're either thinking of creating some, you have created some, or you want to create some. Can I ask you to put in the chat whatever you're thinking about, or your questions for yourself on your thought leadership right now that brings you to this particular webinar? And then we'll address it as we go and get really specific and hopefully very helpful to you in how to craft it, how to distribute it, and how to get the most benefit from it. So we'll watch that. Okay, so just a couple of guidelines. So if you're in the beginning stages of your thought leadership effort, and you're saying, okay, well, where should I go with this? Am I really an authority? A lot of people don't understand the authority that they really have, and don't understand. I know I'm really guilty of this. I always think everybody knows everything I know. And it turns out that's just not true. And none of us know what everybody else knows. So the key is figuring out what is that and what's really valuable to share. So obviously, you said a lot of these things in the chat: ideas, insights, identification of problems and issues and your perspectives on them, right? And then something that's very powerful is that we're all facing is like threats, risks, missed opportunities. I mean, if you think about it, we're all feeling a lot of threats about a lot of things, and any comfort, perspective, strategies for overcoming them. This is super valuable content for everybody. And best practices. This is another thing that you probably know in your industry that you may or may not be sharing, but it's great to gather those and share them. And a challenging of the conventional wisdom, right? So we think that, for example, that AI, which is scaring everyone about their jobs and where we're going, we think AI should really be used to become more human, not less human. Let's not go that, let's use it to become better as ourselves. For example, we have a technology that we work with that identifies people's emotions when they come to a website, like what their values are, what their beliefs are, what their feelings are. It actually gathers that information through little pop-up widgets. And then it then tells the marketers what to serve up. How are people feeling? If you remember during COVID, everybody was going, oh yeah, this will be great. We're going to come through this in the very beginning, right? And everybody was like, yeah, we're not in such great moods right now. So a lot of that marketing fell flat, right? So really asking yourself about challenging the conventional wisdom. And using data and emotion is super important. 95% of decisions are made emotionally. But on the data side, particularly if you wish to create an article that journalists might pick up, or that you might contribute to a publication, you will need data and facts to support your thought leadership.
Yeah, imperative.
Mm-hmm. And so, we are marketers, so we're really talking about thought leadership from a marketing standpoint. You probably noticed that by now. So thought leadership does generate ROI. It is a form of content marketing that's really, really valuable. It affects your brand reputation. And especially in a time like this of lack of trust, your reputation couldn't be more important. We are doubling down on reputation. We're building our reputation practice, which is pretty extensive. We're building it up, and we're getting more business in that area. Awareness of your expertise, that's pretty obvious that that's going to bring clients to you and validate you. higher and faster close rates because people feel more comfortable making a decision when they know you better. And it enables you to differentiate, which ultimately helps you charge higher fees for things. And that's one of the purposes of branding, right? How do you do branding? You have to communicate all of your values, and then it really validates the quality that you deliver and why it's worth more. And then finally, talent attraction and retention. I know you know about the Great Resignation, right? And a lot of people are concerned about going back, and they're making different choices when they go back to work. They're looking for aligned values with their companies. We work for one of the largest communications or conglomerates in the world. And what they know is that to attract the top talent, they have to be clear about what their values and their beliefs are, because a lot of people, like, for example, I declined to work on tobacco products back in the day. And today people are declining to work on certain kinds of things unless they're aligned. So that's why it's important for you to demonstrate your values and beliefs, and that's why it helps attract and retain talent. So let me just move on to this. So we want to talk about the kind of the process of using thought leadership to grow your business, right? And it starts with content because, as we've discussed, content marketing is really probably the most primary strategy we have today. And from the content, you're going for engagement. Those first things we were talking about. What's your objective? Are you persuading? Are you influencing? Are you educating? And so engagement is, how do you know you did those things, right? So you tried to educate somebody on something, and perhaps you offered them a chance to get more, to learn more. You invited them to participate in something to learn more. That's the kind of engagement we're talking about. And opting in is really so important today, because we talk a lot about privacy, right? And there's been a lot of privacy regulations, as you know, that are now saying we can't cookie you, et cetera, et cetera. So the time of tracking people and not letting them know what we're doing with their information are over. The times of having people want to be part of your community are here. So in all of your marketing, you want people to want what you're sending them, to opt into your emails, to opt into your communities, which is it's a critical strategy today. And then validation. You have to let them know that they've made the right choice. And so how do you do that, right? Well, it's by articles that have been written about you. A third party, we often refer to validation in terms of third party recommendations and support. So take Leadership Global. You're a member of Leadership Global, and that's a validating factor. It says that you're investing in yourself. It says that you're part of a trusted community, and that trust is inferred to you. So that's a validation example of a validation strategy. And that should generally leads then to somebody wanting more, wanting something that you have, because you've taken them down this funnel, and that's how you make a sale. So that's how we think about the thought leadership marketing funnel. And so let's see, we're at 13, right? So Seth Godin, who is an enormous thought leader, as you probably know, says that thought leadership is easier than it was ever before. And he totally is right. When you're looking to create your thought leadership, there is so much information out there for you to survey, whether it's what people think on social, whether it's what the trade media is saying, whether it's what mainstream's saying, or whether what podcasts are out there. There's so many things to stimulate yourself and to add to your ideas and to amplify, right? There's also access to all these tools. And, we use tools to survey and listen and understand what's happening in the marketplace. But there's also so many tools for creating content. I mean, this presentation that you're seeing right now was created on an AI presentation tool because we do a lot of AI MarTech work. And so we're constantly testing these tools and using them ourselves. We used it to create this. I swear we saved at least 2-3 hours in creating the presentation on this platform.
And I just want to highlight that this is a way that we're establishing ourselves as thought leaders, right, in the world of marketing technologies. And so using these different tools and being able to draw examples from them is really important. I'm also going to put in the chat a recent article that we've written, and it's literally, establishing ourselves in that realm that I mentioned as sort of innovation guides in the world of marketing technologies, because we all need to reinvent ourselves and embrace the different technologies that are out there in the world.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the things that you put in the chat and really want to talk about them.
Yeah, so, I'm collecting them as well, Janine. So
great.
Let's be sure to get through this quickly so we can really jump in to.
Yeah, those are some really juicy things, and we can use a lot of the illustrations. So yeah, let's do. So this is a book that we created for one of our clients. So we worked with our clients to create, right? And we kind of shepherded the process. We picked the writer, we helped outline things. We extracted the data from him. He's an extremely busy CEO. And so he doesn't have time to write, but what he does have time to do is, like, every week we would schedule probably an hour call between a team of us, and we would stimulate him to talk from his own standpoint about what he thought on different topics. The writer would gather those topics, he would research them and add in data. We would bring it back and he would then edit it. And that's kind of how we constructed the book. And what's really, the reason why I point that out to you is that every single chapter is of itself a thought leadership piece. And then within every chapter are a whole slew of ideas that also could be developed into additional thought leadership. So what we did with this book was we helped him get his ideas out. We helped him substantiate it. And by the way, he did many, many interviews with brand leaders and company leaders across the country, which was incredible for adding additional thought leadership there, as well as additional attention from all of those people, their followers, their companies, et cetera. So it was both a great content contribution as well as a marketing contribution. So we put it out here because one piece that you can create and you put all your energy, because thought leadership takes an enormous amount of energy. So you have to get and want to get a lot out of it. So you create one big piece, but it's not meant to be one big idea. It's meant to be many ideas that can be distributed and marketed and developed in many different ways. And that's the point I wanted to make about this book. So, Nicole?
Well, what we also highly recommend is to involve others in your book process. So this not only helps you align your brand with other points of view. So when you're acknowledging other points of view, you're aligning your personal brand with the other or the organization that you're citing. It's a great tactic to interview other experts. As Janine mentioned, we did that with the book on reputation, and that brought in a whole different communities of people to read and engage with the book. And it brings all these different viewpoints, which can be really juicy and whatnot. It's great. It's super important to share, other great content and pictures and videos, things that, again, you're aligned with. And we're constantly doing that at Outfront Solutions. We have a very active, mostly, LinkedIn channel We're investing in that in terms of community, and we're constantly sharing the knowledge of other people, their videos, their pictures, because we know it's of value to our community and our audience. So as Janine was illustrating, you have this large audience of people who are watching you, right? And whether you realize it or not, whether they're engaging or not, they're watching you. Like I just got a message. Today's a big, exciting milestone day because a venture capital fund that I helped to found we get to ring the NASDAQ bell today. So big, exciting milestone. Well, we were posting about that, and I was getting texts and emails and all kinds of stuff of people who had witnessed that on social. So just, the point being, engage others, other organizations, other points of view, other communities, because that will only drum up more momentum and brand alignment for you. And it also helps you to feel a part of something bigger, right? So that's always a good thing.
Okay.
And I feel like this is a really nice summary slide of, a lot of what we've been talking about today. So it's really important to set a goal and a strategic plan for your thought leadership. I mean, even if it's one article, set a plan for that. How are you going to, you look at the bullet on the other side, how are you going to repurpose that and get it out in the world and amplified and parse it up into little bite-sized nuggets, snackable content, we like to call it, for social media, do a short video, just really, really leverage that. But how is it that you're going to create a plan for every piece of thought leadership that you do to leverage it and continue to get it out there and maybe remind people of it later? If you've gotten high engagement from it, you want to remind people of it. So you want to target the engagement or purchase intent. And that always sets the plan forward. So if I want people to book a meeting with me, I know I'm going to have calls to action to book a meeting when maybe I put something out there it could be intriguing on a landing page and at a place in the article, for sure in a social post, right? So really think about what is that target engagement or purchase intent so that you back out of it and you're driving people to engage with you in the way that you'd like them to take action. You want to review your competitors' positioning. What words are they using? What are they hanging their hats on? You want to use differentiated words, but also maybe you get lots of great ideas. What images are they using? You want to deeply research your topic. You want to choose keywords. That's really important. You want to definitely include a lot of video, images, graphics, because a lot of people, that is how they take in their knowledge. You saw at the beginning of our presentation, we have an ikigai that tells you the story of what we do. We're like, bam. For those people who like a visual understanding of what we do, they have it in a visual format as well as our description or prose, right? You want to make sure that you have a steady stream of content that puts a cadence out there in the world. It also helps the algorithms see your content and rank it more highly. We're getting really phenomenal engagement on our LinkedIn channel because we're constantly putting out content and valuable content that people are engaging with. And so our numbers in LinkedIn have gone up dramatically. So, take a look at that, see what we're doing and how we're the rhythms and cadence and then we're putting out newsletters and articles and different things. So that steady stream helps to train the algorithms, and it also keeps you in conversation with your communities, right? So it helps them see what's top of mind for you at this time. Consider doing an authority site. Those are robust websites that have a lot of content on them that can drive people to action. You want to maximize your website and make sure you have a blog and landing page and the homepage. You're really pointing people to different points in your site so that they're gathering more information and seeing, your kind of train of thought. We'll put some examples of landing pages and whatnot in, and more links to our blog in the chat, so you can see the stuff we've been doing. Podcasts and webinars are always really great content to get out there in the world. You can parse your book or an article and turn it into a webinar, turn it into a podcast. And you can produce it on your own, or seek to get on the many podcasts and webinars that are available to you, especially in the Leadership Global community. There's a lot of opportunities for us all that way. You want to seek maybe contributed articles as well. Janine and I have a number of articles out there in the world in publications like Entrepreneur Magazine or Venture Beat and the Trust Web Times. These are news outlets that have picked up our articles, and what they do is they validate us, right, as thought leaders in a particular area. And it's not just ourselves and our owned channel. This is an earned channel that, once again, really helps to establish trust and validation. Alumni publications, women's groups, associations, those are all great places to seek to place your content. They're begging for content. You may not realize it, but they really need content, and they want to hear from those who are part of their organization. So 90% of the time, you'll find a welcome if you put your content out there in the world. And then, of course, email and LinkedIn nurturing is just really important to, again, stay in conversation with people.
Okay. Oh, I just want to say one other thing about the nurturing LinkedIn and email, and we use the word nurturing because it's about building this relationship, relates back to that. And the idea there is that take your content, take your thought leadership content, and say, well, first I need to tell them who I am, what I do. So I'm going to do an email on that, let's say. Now let's go to another level. Let's let them know who I am, what I care about, and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And that's the next level. So what you do is you plan out a series of communications designed to bring people closer to you. We call it a topic journey to conversion. So you think about, what are the topics that people need? At first, they need to be aware of you. Then they need to consider you, and who else is in that consideration set. Then they need to prefer you. Right? And then they need to cement their relationship with you. So it's sort of this nurturing process, which LinkedIn is really good for. We do, and Nicole's a master at that. So here we go to this.
Yeah. So one of the ways that we approach developing content and thought leadership is we use technology to do so. And so I'm going to pop in the chat an example of a landing page that we have that tells a little bit more about these technologies that we're using right now. And the technology is targeting topics, not people, to help you understand what is on the minds of your target audiences. So if you're about to write an article or a book on a subject, don't you want to know what's currently on the minds of people? And so this technology, topic intelligence, and again, I put a link in the chat if you want to learn more about it. It helps you really truly discover the exact topics that people are engaging with, real people, not just impressions or bots and all that, and what real people are engaging with right now, so that you can create your articles, your white papers, your book, and what have you. And you can have these strategic themes that are highly engaging. And I will say, just using ourselves as an example, I put in the chat earlier an article that we wrote, Know What Content Converts Best Before You Invest. And we filled that full of the topics that people are searching on. And oh my gosh, that article has gotten ridiculous engagement. For our small firm, we've had almost 1,000 people engage with that in the last 3 weeks. These technologies really can help catapult your content to the next level, and so you can use it across all your channels because it's guiding you into the world of what people care about your specific brand. One other thing that's super cool about it is we're using it for clients right now, and we're training the technology to understand someone's personal brand. So, what is their voice? And so that also is brand specific content that you can own. So, this is really incredible technology. Let's go to the next slide and let people know that we're putting this technology out there in the world, and we invite you to contact us. We're giving a discount to those in the Leadership Global community if you would like to engage with this. And we've had some really neat conversations and engagements with different members of the community who are literally using this to guide their integrative marketing and their entire personal brand. So we welcome you to get in touch with us on that.
And just so you know what this is, I know Nicole said it, but you've heard a lot of things. Basically, it will go out and it will find out what's on the minds of the people that you want to communicate with in relation to you and your product. So that's a very big thing. That's not able to be done. It never was able to be done before, but now it is. And then you take those topics that are unique to you and unique to your audience's desire to know more and their intent. It's an indication of their intentions. And then we turn those into a whole series of content. So we will turn out like 12 pieces of content, which I got to tell you would take us 12 months in the past, given all of our other work. But now we can turn them out in a matter of a month or a couple of months, at max. We can actually do it faster, but a lot of people need it to go out in a different kind of cadence. So I just want to make sure you know that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So this is just to say very quickly, do it, get out there. You have an incredible voice, take up space, get your knowledge out there. We're here standing alongside. The Leadership Global community is standing alongside. Don't let anything stop you. You do have the time. You do have a place to start. Get in touch with us if you want to, hear more, get even more of a boost.
And I want to hit two of these things. There's always somebody more expert than you are or than we are, right? There's always somebody who's got earth-shattering knowledge that we go, oh my God, that's so much more earth-shattering than what I have. But the task here is to figure out what you have that other people don't, that's of value to them. And you don't have to think of it as earth-shattering. It's really sharing ideas. It's really enriching other people with your knowledge. Just think of it like that. And can't wait to apply this to what you guys said, though, in your mentions here in the chat.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being here and today. And I just wanted to mention that our next topic, our next session is on also on Friday. It's always the third Friday of the month is Unboxing Growth Day. And on July 21st, we're doing a talk on making sense of today's marketing technologies for small and medium-sized businesses. So once again, we're applying our own thought leadership here in the world of marketing and technologies.